Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee with Minister Toya. It has been a while. We took a whole summer off, but I'm back and I'm happy to be with you. Um, if if you missed me like I missed you, just give me a shout out. Let me know. I am so excited about today's show. Like I have some incredible people here with me on the show, and we're going to be talking about building a community. We're going to be talking about building Back Black. That's what I named the show, Building Back Black. And I'm just really excited that they're here. They're from an organization called We Are the Builders, and We Are the Builders are doing incredibly wonderful things. So I'm just going to introduce you to my guest today. First of all, we have Shantae. Shantae is she's the go-to person for We Are the Builders. She's the all around, whatever you need. You call Shantae, and Shantae will help you. She'll direct you, and she's like the backbone of this organization. Her and another young lady named Monique, who'll be joining us shortly, along with the founder of this organization, Dr. King Siik. Siik, I don't know if you've ever had an opportunity to be on Clubhouse. If you've ever been on Clubhouse, you know that Dr. Siik has had multiple accounts, that he is always telling the truth. He's always in teaching mode, but now he's taking his teaching to a whole nother level. He's going to actually be teaching inside of a school that he is building. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Hey,
Hey.
Like a
everybody.
pleasure to
Hey.
be here. Hey.
So we're just gonna jump right into things. Like I'm so excited about people getting to know what it is that you guys do. Let me take my glasses off. I can't see. What it is that you guys do, how you came to be. How is it that you guys came together? What gave you the idea, King, to say, I'm going to open up a school and teach the trades to young Black men and women?
Well, it was a mission that kind of began, from a very personal place. My grandfather was a carpenter. My uncle was a master plumber, and he did well. My grandfather obviously did well. He was retired military, but he was a carpenter when I was a kid. So, kind of had the trades around. Tools were cool, so to speak, and that kind of makes all the difference in the world when a young person thinks the tools are cool. So for me, I took that into adulthood. Went through some challenges as a young person, did some things, went some places, made a lot of mistakes. But through those mistakes, kind of really recognize and understand how other young people who potentially could be on that path are on that path because in a lot of cases, there's not anything for our kids to put in their hands, literally tools that are going to build a better world, a better community, a better neighborhood, a better home, and a better young person. So, I know that those tools and those skills are critically important to particularly people in our community. And when you look at our community, it's not hard to figure out, to put plus one, plus two. Young people need to have skills that they can go back in their communities and fix their communities and increase value, add value to their communities, and be respected members of our communities and bring respect back to our communities. I think far too often we point at our young people and say, pull your pants up or do this or do that. And, we've got to provide something for our children rather than make demands on them without providing anything. So, these skills I think provide the opportunity for careers. Careers provide the opportunity to maintain a home, which keeps families together, keeps kids out of trouble, keeps the men out of trouble. They got to, go home and do homework and go to work at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So it kind of shores up a lot of the issues, that we see in our community. There's not one single solitary issue, I think, in our community that is not solved. Well, I won't say it solves every last problem, but I don't think that there's anything that the skilled trades do that doesn't do anything but solve problems in our community, every last aspect of it. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm a part of it. And that's what made me, create it and have the vision for it.
Now, Shantae, thank you so much, King. Man, I'm just excited about you guys' vision. I am excited about the work that you're going to be doing, and how you're going to be impacting young lives. Like, and I want everybody to know about what you guys are doing. And just be a part of the division. Like, division is awesome. The first time I heard you talk about this school, I was like, ah, yeah, right. He's just another, he just another one of them guys on Clubhouse that got big dreams and a vision. But the more I stayed around, and the more I heard you talk, and the more scholarship that you brought to the table, I understood that you were different. That you actually cared about your people. You actually wanted to do the work that you said you wanted to do. I met you guys at the same time, and you guys were doing the work already before I even came involved. And I just want to know, Shante, what made you want to just jump on board this project? What made you believe that this was going to be something sustainable, something that could actually impact our community in a positive way?
Yeah, well, actually, after I heard, King speak, I, found to myself that, this was going to be beneficial to our community. I mean, the more that you're able to, be able to do the things hands-on in your home, to fix it and not have to depend on anybody else, the better that your family is going to be, position that the position that you can put your family in. And then also, my uncles, one of them, his business before he had passed away, his business was called Fix It. He was Mr. Fix It. And then I have another uncle, his brother, and he, builds houses himself as well.
Hi, Mr. Julian. I can't. Oh, you muted.
I had to kind of get myself cleaned up. I've been out working today. Had tools in my hands, and my hands had all kind of black stuff on them. You know what it happens when you're using your hands. So, um, and I wish I could say it was like a really important project, but it was just an easy release on a water hose, and it had me out there strained up like I was building a house by myself. So, had to get cleaned up. I had wet feet and everything else. But good to see you. Good to see you, ladies.
Because
Yeah, good to see you too. I apologize about that. My dog was background, so I apologize about that. But yeah, that's the reason why I felt like this was going to be so powerful to our communities because, being the man in the house or being the woman in the house and being able to, not call anybody to help you, you know, do anything with your own home. Being able to do it yourself, and then also being able to build our homes from ground up. So I see the importance in it and how we can be self sustainable. So that's why I decided to join.
yes. Michelle from Bob Reward said, "Hey, King Siik. Hey, Tori.
Hey,
Hey,
how you guys
Michelle."
doing?
Eddie Hurt said, "What's up, people? Hey, Eddie, if you could share the link and get some of our people in here, that would be great." Um, I love the way we flow on Clubhouse. I love the way we flow so organically. So I want that to be like um, the vibe around here, and how we speak to each other. But what I really want to talk about is how do how is it that we can get more people involved in with the programs that we have? How can we share with the people exactly how important it is that we begin to build up our own communities? Now, when we're in Clubhouse, King often tells us he teaches a lot, right? So he's often teaching us why it is so important that um, we build our communities, because we know, that you can't have a community unless you have a hospital, a bank, a store, a school. And when we live in communities where we spend trillions of dollars, we have buying power, but it's going outside of our communities. So I believe that, um, as King often teaches us, is by building up our own neighborhoods, we can bring that money back into our communities and build our communities up to where we are uh, um, financially sustainable. Am I right, Jay?
That's right. Absolutely.
Can you jump in there anytime you want to? Are you still there?
Yes. King, you're on mute.
I told you I was busy doing my thing, so I had to go get my light. So now you can actually see me because it looked a little crazy before, right? That's better, right? Right. All right.
Well,
And
I
so
can see all you light skinned people.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
I didn't brush light skin. You see that brownness? It's golden in there. Um,
yeah.
but seriously, when it comes to the issues that we talk about, I mean, I've been listening to people talk about gentrification since what was the movie Boys in the Hood? How long was that? How long ago was that?
In the 80s,
I mean, I
82.
got that lesson when everybody else got that lesson, from that generation of, what gentrification was. Lawrence Fishburne taught us and Trey that lesson in the movie, um, Boys in the Hood. Now, obviously, that wasn't the major come away from the movie. I mean, it was a lot of other takeaways. But as you begin to, grow and you mature and you think about things and maybe as an adult, you look at gentrification from, how it affects your household income. Are you able to afford to stay in a neighborhood that might be a predominantly black neighborhood in Baltimore, Philly, or anywhere else? New York, Harlem, we've seen what happened in Brooklyn and in Harlem. I mean, these communities used to be centers and meccas of black art, black culture, and black people. And now they're, like Soho districts where there's Whole Foods and candle shops and yoga spots. And so, when
Hmm.
you have sort of a community-wide initiative that says that we're going to, really start to pay attention to who owns and controls the things in the community, and we're going to understand how owning and controlling the things in the community bring the resources back to the community that we want. We talk about gentrification, but we do everything economically in order to create it. And so it just
Right,
to me it's counterintuitive for us to talk about gentrification and then not actually do any of the action steps that would actually prevent it. We've been taught by our leaders, quote unquote, that gentrification is something that we just can't possibly stop it. So we have to petition Congress, we have to petition, the senators and the governors and all, then you get into the whole political dance and you get the people hyped up for the political dance, and then when you get in the political circle you hear from people like Obama that the percentage of the population you are, and so that's why you didn't get policy despite the fact that other smaller groups that got the policy that they wanted, and there are much smaller groups than the 13.4% of America that black people are, and historically the injuries that we've suffered are have to be primary to any other group suffering. I'm sorry, but it's just if you're not going to deal with the foundational Americans who built this country, then to me it just seems to be dishonest for you to try to solve the problems of anybody else, particularly when these problems were intentionally caused, and and then the nation that we live in benefited off of them. So, for us to have leaders who tell us about, we talk about gentrification, we talk about all the problems in the community, black on black crime, the gang violence, the drugs, all of these things. But what we don't do is we don't talk about where does the black dollar go every day at 8 o'clock in the morning when we wake up, and also where does it go at about 9 o'clock at night when that man takes that bag of money from our side of town to another side of town, making that side of town richer and our side of town poor. We don't have that conversation. We talk about support black businesses. You see, we just use those are just talking points. There's no actual action plan behind support black businesses. Okay, so what are we talking about? Are we building integrated websites that are going to allow people to coalesce to one particular domain to where now all of the community knows that we go to ABC 123 to get everything black? I mean, we haven't done that yet. So you know what I mean, at the end of the day, what is the action step to take forward? And so after reading some of the great master teachers, Dr. Claude Anderson and Dr. Amos Wilson, in Dr. Amos Wilson's book The Falsification of African Consciousness, he teaches us that in order to solve the problems of any community, particularly ours, the first thing you have to do is you have to do a social, political, economic, spiritual, and educational assessment of the community, just like a government agency that's maybe underperforming will have an audit done by an outside private entity to come in and see like what's going on here. Is it operations? Is it management? Is it logistics? Is it what is causing us to not perform at the levels that we should perform at? And so a company is going to do an audit, a state agency is going to do an audit, a business is going to do an audit, even the IRS will come audit your behind if they think some funny money is going on with the money, right? So in every other scenario where it concerns economics specifically, but even when you go to the doctor, there's a health analysis, there's a wellness check. When you go to your pastor or your faith minister, your imam, or whoever it is that you as your faith-based leader, when you go to that person, there's a certain interaction that's had to where you and that faith leader are able to use your faith and their guidance and their wisdom in order to come at least a direction for you to start to walk to try to find some solutions. They obviously can't solve your problems, but they surely should be able to use, what it is in your faith, what your faith says that you stand for and represent, and then, give you a path that you could chart for yourself. And so the same thing, applies here. Why, as a community, do we not have the report? We need to have it in our hand, the Black report. This is the report. We get the wealth report. Okay, cool, household wealth, but I can't wrap my hands around household wealth. That's in your house. Your money's in your house. His money's in his house. Everybody's money gets into their homes in a different, by different means. Although they might be similar from home to home, city to city, but at the end of the day, everybody's equation is different. How their household wealth is built, white or black. And so it just you're on a time wasting mission trying to use household wealth and median wealth as some sort of barometer for the action plan part. As far as we've seen, as much as we've seen so far, as perhaps that's a great talking point when you talk about reparations, right? But what's the action that we can take from looking at household wealth and median wealth, right? So for me, it took me back to Dr. Amos Wilson's book, The Falsification of African Consciousness, and it took me back to, doing that social, political, and economic analysis. And when I did in my own community here in Florida, South St. Petersburg, I went in. There was 31 stores that were taking what I estimated to be from about 700,000 to well over $1 million, like $1.1 million every day, every day, every day. I mean, these hair stores are not. I mean, how many stores are these hair stores are knocking down 3, 4, $5,000 in an afternoon? Not to mention the fact that we can't really see the deals that these people do because they also distribute their hair to the hair suppliers to other people, right? And so we're in a system where other ethnic peoples, um, you know, um, business model is in our community. And when you look at, again, let's go back to the median wealth data, it will show you that Asian Americans actually have the highest median income in America, not white Americans. 244 years of free labor, and they don't make the highest income. How does that happen? So this is the analysis that, your Barack Obamas, your Maxine Waters, your, you name them. This is what your leaders should be doing. Your leaders should be looking at the business and the commercial interests that are set up around Black people. We live in a system of capitalism. It's not like we live in the system of kumbaya. There's money flowing around here. It's called currency, and it moves in a current. So let's look at the current in our community. Some people may have seen the brother Killer Mike's trigger warning, where he talked about how the Black dollar stays in our community. What was it, 6 hours? I believe he said 5 or 6 hours, but it was hours. But in the Asian community, the Jewish community, in white communities, even Latino communities, the money bounced in some cases, I believe it was up to 15, 18 times before it left the community. But in our community, it doesn't, not only does it not bounce one time, is it not traded or used on average one time, but it's gone in less than a day, less than half a day. You see, this is the analysis that Black leaders are supposed to be doing. I mean, these folks have, phenomenal degrees. They, went to the finest institutions, the Harvards, the Howards, the Hamptons, and the Stanfords. But we don't have anybody out here looking at the business model of other groups of people and how they ethno aggregate in our communities. Ethno aggregation is, what Dr. Claude Anderson talks about in Powernomics, and how when we say, well, why can't Black folks be like and pick any immigrant group, right? Well, those people are ethno aggregating. Black people are, and that's more or less because of our socioeconomic state. So we're ethno aggregated in the ghetto, right? We're not coming to America, by choice and choosing and having a plan. When we come here, there was no plan for us. The only plan for us was to serve the interests of somebody else. And looking around in America, it appears that it's working pretty good for them and not so much for us. So if everyone else is ethno aggregating, why are Black people not ethno aggregating when it comes to their economics? We are ethno aggregating in the fact that we all living in the same quote unquote slum together. But what are we doing with the money that we have in the slum? Because when you look at the wealth data, excuse me, the disposable income data for Black people, it's nearly $1.5 trillion a year that we're spending in consumer spending power. We don't want to talk about where we rank in the world's list of economies. I'm sure it's still in the top 10, right? Just Black Americans put up against global economies, we are literally have more of a currency. Because see, this is what money does. It flows in a current. And so if we are using consumer dollars and we have such currencies, we need to be guardians of the current. But we are not guardians of the current that comes from our communities, from our neighborhoods. Let's not even play with ourselves. And because we're not the guardian, the Asian who owns the hair stores in our community, particularly the Koreans who own the hair
I
stores.
heard you say something, right? I heard you say something.
Okay.
I want you to break it down for the people. You said in our communities, and then you caught yourself, and you said in our neighborhoods. Now we know the difference, but I don't think a lot of us know the difference between a community and a neighborhood, because we often get that mixed up. So can you kind of break that down for us, and then take Chantel, I want you to add on to that too. But can you kind of break that down? Why did you correct yourself like that?
Because community is, it's two words, right? Common and unity put together. That gives you community. And a neighborhood is just a geographical area where people live, right? And so a community has a few things. Well, in order to run a community, first of all, you got to have a bank. Because again, you've got to be guardians of your current. If everybody in the community is paying rent or a mortgage and bills and things of that nature, then the money that they're paying for these things with needs to be in the bank that's in their community, so that people in their community will be able to benefit from this thing called fractional reserve, where banks only have to keep a marginal amount of your deposit, and then they take the remainder, 80 to 90%, and they loan it out to other people in what they call a financial instrument that's called a loan. That could be a business loan, a personal loan, um, any sort of a loan, right? Car loan, auto loan. And so this is business for the bank, and the bank charges obviously interest on the money that they get from your deposit. So your deposits going into your local community bank, those dollars must come back to the community, the geographical area, the neighborhood that the money is flowing from. Again, being guardians of your currency. But if somebody else has a bank set up in your community, there's no telling where this money is going. They get to decide who get the loans. And largely, we know from the data in America, the money is disproportionately not being lent to African Americans. We don't want to talk about the $26 billion a year that Gwen Richardson said in her book, The Weekend Wealth Transfer, that Black people put into the Black church, that overwhelmingly is going right back into these banks, where they're taking 80 and 90% of Black Jesus's dollars, and they're loaning it back out to their friends. And we're looking at them and thinking that this is some slave dollars that they're out here. No, it's yesterday's dollars. It's last Sunday's offering plate. That's what they built that big house down the street when we. How in the, you ever driven through a white neighborhood and just ask yourself, how in the world do you afford a house this big? How? Do I want 7 bedrooms or 12? I don't know. Do I want a grotto or just an Olympic pool? I don't know. You see, nobody can go to work and earn that an hour. This is it literally, somebody in the system of capitalism is being capitalized on. They are capitalizing on something. And the number one thing people capitalize on in capitalism is ignorance, and people's ignorance of how capitalism actually works, right? And so, but back to the point with the neighborhood and the community. And so the community has to have that bank. And the second thing the community has to have is, you've got your wealth, but what's the other thing that rhymes with wealth that people probably need to take care of second, right? If not first, and that's your health. So there's got to be some wellness, if not a hospital, where I'm sure people in this quote unquote neighborhood who got money in this bank probably have kids who are probably in the trusts and on the bank accounts and the credit and all these sorts of things that are in that financial institution in the community. So the very birth of the children within this neighborhood, on its transition to a community, also should be being delivered in a way in which that the people of the community make primary benefit of this hospital institution, right? The birth rates of the mother should be extremely low because there should be people from the community who are from here. Oh, I'm from here. I've been living in East such and such for all my life. Yes, sir. I went to East such and such community college. I've been working at this hospital for 30 years. That's somebody who's invested in the community. They're not going to let the hospital do some insidious, predatory thing to the community or the neighborhood or the citizens or the people, not some decent individual, right? And so we want to assume most people who are working in healthcare are decent people. They're in a position to help, in a position to assist, oftentimes in some of the worst times and the best times when we're talking about birth. So, um, I just think that when we don't understand the banking element, we don't understand the health element, then you're already, it's gobbledygook at that point. And so, a community has other things. Obviously, the school, the education is important. So between those three things, between the banks and the hospitals and the schools that you run, own, and control, with the currency coming from the pockets of the neighborhood, people who are in the neighborhood, this geographical area, when this money is now in the bank, and the bank is actually distributing the money within the community in a wholesome fashion, this is a community. It's no longer a neighborhood. It's no longer a geographical area because now it has infrastructure in the hospital to maintain the health of the people in the community and also be a viable economic arm. And then now you also have the bank, which protects the wealth of the people in the community as an economic arm. And so it's very hard to harm a people like this. These people are going to get laws passed in their favor, right? Because they're going to have the economics to go out and find a leader, a politician who's running for office. Oh, we need this passed. What's your campaign donation website? We're going to make a maximum donation. We just want you to make sure you consider this piece of legislation we have here. It's called the Don't Step on Our Yard. We got a lot of people around here stepping on yards. We don't want nobody stepping on yards. We want to pass this bill with your help. Thank you, sir. And those people get policies. If somebody wants to build a strip club outside of this community, there's community members in this community might say, we don't want a strip club in this community. There's probably two or three different kind of Lutheran church, a Methodist church, a Baptist church, a Catholic diocese, and a mosque outside this community. If it's anything like the melting pot America really is, right? And so all of these faith-based leaders are probably going to come together. They'll be in the XYZ neighborhood faith-based committee where you'll have the imam from the Islam and you'll have the church minister, the rabbi, and the priest. I'm telling you. And all
Yes.
of these people, because their kids live in this community, all of these faith leaders will come together and say, look, how can we work together to make sure that our children are protected in this community? Because if crimes are a problem for everybody in the community, not the Muslims, not the Arabs, not the Jews, not the blacks, not the whites, not the Latinos. It's for everybody because this is a community. And so I think that when you understand the wholesome way in which a community is supposed to operate, and then you look at our communities and then you realize and recognize that we don't have the protections that we're supposed to have in our communities. What we have a bunch of well-dressed, well-paid people who look like us, who stand behind microphones and in front of cameras like I am today, appearing to represent our interests. And the only thing that continues to go up is their personal net worth. And the one thing that goes down is the collective wealth of Black America. And so,
Now,
that's what communities are all about.
now, Strongflower once said she backed off what you said about the churches, and she said Black mega churches are not hiring Black contractors to build their buildings or insisting on Black subcontractors. These are $1 million construction projects. And I know that you guys talk about that all the time. Tay, what do you think about that? What do you think about what Strongflower said?
Oh yeah, I agree. Those buildings that are being built, for the churches, we're not a part of. However, we're attending them all the time. So yeah, that's something that we definitely, I think need to change within our community. So that's maybe possibly we can be looking into how we can find out, which churches are moving on to a different building or finding out, who's getting ready to build a new property and find and get a part of it and go ahead and dismantle that because I think we definitely need to be a part of being some contractors on these buildings and other buildings and projects as well. So there's not enough Black contractors, and that's what We Are the Builders is all about as well, is getting Black contractors, whether that's brothers or sisters, out there, gaining those funds, and being able to, show their portfolio of the buildings that they have been working on. And as the more experience that we get, the better that we're going to be to continue on ongoing projects. And so the fact that we're not being presented that opportunity, that's not good for us and the community piece that King was speaking about. So that's what I think about it. I'm sure King can share more.
King, do you ever just wonder where the building fund go to? I know every time I've ever gone to church, they
Yeah.
they do they do a collection for the building fund. I want to know where the building fund money is, and then how we can go get that building fund money, because every
Well, let me
church in
tell you what a
America.
pastor told me. A pastor told me, he said, I said, Pastor, what are y'all building? He said, you in it. I said, so this is not the action word building fund. This is the noun building fund. I said, why you just, you need to put a little N in parentheses next to the word building, because we out here in the congregation think it's a V in parentheses. We think that this money is going to proactively do some building, when what it is, in many cases, it costs money to maintain a building. And so I think, a lot of times we don't understand that cost because we don't build buildings. You know, and a real good challenge I want people to do, I want you to go to Lowe's, your local Lowe's and Home Depot in the morning, about 8, 9, 10 o'clock, before 10, really before 9:30. Go in your local Lowe's, get your little cart, and put something in it, just walk around like you're doing something. And I want you to watch who comes in the Lowe's. And I want you to watch a bunch of men who are going to be on their cell phones, whether they're on their headsets or handheld phone, and they're going to be looking down aisles, taking pictures of stuff, FaceTiming, video conferencing, showing people parts. And, some men come in there really organized and they've got their tablet. They're looking at their tablet. They're making their order. And these men don't look like me oftentimes, most oftentimes. And what these men are doing the entire time they're in Lowe's, you know what these men are doing when they're in Lowe's? They're solving problems. They're solving problems. Whether they're problems of measurement, whether they're problems of height, distance, reach, angle, growth, blight, color, texture, you see, uh, or they're just actually building something new. They're solving a problem. It's getting wires. Plumbing broke. Got to get new plumbing. Need super glue. Got to glue this. Got to tape that. Got to cut this. Got to trim that. Got to tighten this. So these people are solving problems all day. And the problems change from day to day. Do you understand what kind of exercise this is for a person's mind and a person's brain, and have a community full of people who go to work every day? And see, people look at laborers and they think, oh, just you're breaking your back. No, you're not. I'll take two pieces of something and put it together and twist it the wrong way and tell you to figure out. And I guarantee you're going to sit there first and think about it, like, okay, now should I use this or should I twist this way? Well, damn, that's kind of tight. We've done this trying to assemble a little raggedy nightstand from Pier 1. You said, no, which screws go with which? I don't even know which one is. This doesn't even work. Let me YouTube this, because there's a problem you have to solve. And so when you look at the church, what problems does the church solve? Now, it might solve some spiritual problems and might solve some marital problems, but what real problems is it solving in the lives of what Black people deal with? When we had the issue of police brutality, Black Lives Matter was out there on the front lines. And I'm not, I'm sure the church, they got a lot of money. They ain't got George Soros money. So, at the end of the day, and I'm not being, you know, no low blows, but we got to understand that this political movement, it costs a lot of money to do that. And the money that it costs to do that, we could have sent Black women back out there to take back the hair care industry, and we could have got us 100 billion back. We didn't have to protest nothing. We could have just went in. We could have went to probate, not protest. We could have bought some properties out of probate, and we could have turned them into beauty supply stores. But the thing is that when it comes to the church and the church building fund and what churches are doing with the money, there's a sister named Gwen Richardson. I mentioned her already. She wrote a book called Weekend Wealth Transfer. 7 years ago, black people were putting $500 million every Sunday into the church. And we've got
I
even
was
more.
one of them.
Fintech
I was one of them.
fintech has gone, absolutely crazy. Now we got Cash App. You can just put your little thing in the bio right there in your face. Boom, somebody sends you some money, just like that. So the way money moves is even so much more fluid that people are they're getting more than $500 million at this point. So we're giving billions of dollars to an American banking system that we don't own, control, regulate, nor is our faces on the money. And then the banks that are in our communities aren't set up for in our best interest. And then the money that the government gives you because they say the system is broken and it's harming, it's discriminating against black people. And when they solve the problem of discrimination, they give it to you because you're a minority. Then everybody get it. You see, now everybody gets it. Everybody's in line. And so we've got some serious issues when it comes to the business model that is the church, particularly after the faith-based initiative was signed. But you know,
What do you mean everybody's in line? Everybody gets. Aren't we the minorities? Aren't we the BIPOC people? What do you
no,
mean?
no,
I'm
no,
not
no, no.
understanding.
Well, the thing, we're not minorities because, we don't want to get into the legalese of how that word itself is problematic, but it is. And so, from a political standpoint, we got to ask, where did minority come from? Who gave birth to minority? Because it was pregnant in somebody, particularly in politics, or some social activist was pregnant with minority, and they went out and protested for minorities. I don't remember that protest. I remember the protest for the American Negro, for the freedmen, for the foundational Black American, for the American descendant of chattel slavery. I remember the movement of those people. We still have streets and schools named after a lot of those folks, and we still haven't achieved the glory that we are supposed to achieve. But we got a lot of stuff named after them, and that's no shout to them. But you know, who are the minorities? Who was pregnant with this? And so when you go back and you look at the legislation, this is 1965, 1964, LBJ. They killed the president and replaced him. And his vice president came in. And so it's so ironic because if you think about it, if JFK never gets killed, maybe we never have the war on poverty. Maybe we never have tenement housing to the degree that we do in this country. Maybe we never have the welfare system swallowing up Black families and we're generationally passing down these programs. Maybe we never have these things because they all come from LBJ, right? And so when we understand that part of it, then we understand how this word minority creeped into the legislation that was called the Civil Rights Act of 1965. And it included those caveats of gender and minority. you know, but all I do is look back into history and I see, they knew who you were to the degree that they had a special name for Black people in America. That's a really special name for us. Started with an N. They always knew who we were. They've never confused another race
Is
of
that the
people.
nigger? That's the
Yeah,
nigger. Okay.
that's that N word, right? And so not only do they know who you are, they have a special name for you outside of your political designation, your citizenship designation, the N word. We know exactly if you say the N word and you ask somebody to draw a picture of one, we know exactly who they're going to draw a picture of. They're not going to draw a picture of a Latino. They're not going to draw a picture of a Russian. They're not going to draw a picture of an Italian. They're going to draw a picture of a Black foundational American in most cases, or my Haitian brothers or Caribbean brothers or my African brothers too. But the bottom line is we know who they're talking about. So why in the legislation did it get so muddled up? And then there ends another long conversation that we'll spare the people of tonight. But that 1965 Civil Rights Act and the people who advocated for it, potentially, like Martin Luther King said, he feared he led his people into a burning house. That burning house was the word minority, because once he carried us past that gate into the world of minorities, that just means everybody but Black people. We got so much minority funding coming into these communities that it doesn't make any sense, but we don't get it. White women are minorities. LGBT white men are minorities. And so when people from quote unquote the dominant white society can actually tap into these dollars that are a direct result of the suffering that specific group of people did at the hands of a specific group of people, and then we would allow specific groups of people from within that specific group of people that harm black people to get the money that was supposed to be for our specific group of people.
Often enough times people come in the room in our room a clubhouse and they'll get a lot of pushback tag and they'll be like, oh, well, black people ain't never, but we can't ever. We not never gonna get together. I hear you, King, but it's not never. Black people ain't never. And what I love about Shantae is that she always steps up and she'll say, what is it that you tell them when they start talking about what we can't never do?
I mean, I always go to what can we do? I mean, you can sit here and talk about it until you're blue in the face of what you're not going to be able to do, but that's just, that's allowing, the enemy to win. And the more that we continue to have that kind of talking points, or the more that we continue to talk like that, you spread that into the universe, and that's the last thing that we need. So, I always say, well, what is it that we can do? Because I've heard enough of what we're not going to do or what we can't do. So let's just, try to redirect this conversation into progression for us, because of course they don't want us to do it, so we have to definitely beat the odds here. And it really starts with the words that we use, and that we're sharing with other people. So that's what I always tell them.
What's that other thing that people are always telling us? Calling us, they call us. It began with a B, and they got the word "strap" at the end. When we talk about building up our communities and not just waiting on reparations. Now we know the reparations debt is old, right? But while we're waiting, while people are fighting, why not build our own wealth? So often people are coming in the room and that's some bootstrap mentality. And so, can either one of you tell me why what we're doing is not bootstrap mentality, but it is actually a progressive mentality of building our people?
All right. King, do you want to take that? All right. If not, I'll go ahead and, I
I
think that
admit,
the
I
the
admit I
boot.
wasn't. I
Oh,
admit I
there we
wasn't
go.
listening because I was trying to put this link in the Telegram chat. So make sure we
Okay.
shout out the Telegram chat while we're here. But you can
Yeah,
take that one.
absolutely. Oh, no, no, go ahead, because I think you can answer that question. What is the bootstrap mentality? Go ahead and rephrase your question, Miss Toya, Miss Minister Toya.
Oh no, bootstrapper. Oh, that's what
Well,
they
yeah,
call me. They call me
yeah,
boost. They
when
call
people
me the
call us,
bootstrap.
you bootstrap king over there. Like when people come and run out, that's some
Yeah, that's what they
bootstrap
call me.
mentality. And is it that they do that out of fear that we might actually do have success? As I was sitting here, my initial question was, they often come in the room and they say we have that bootstrapping mentality, and and we say, well, while we know a debt is old, we can't wait around for Europeans to decide that they want to pay us. We need to start building up our communities. But is it the fear of other black people that we might actually succeed or something that makes them push back so hard on bootstrapping? We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to get back to the school and how and what we're doing and how people can come apart and some of the courses that are going to be shared.
So the bootstrap mentality, is when you actually look at, black people who in the history that we celebrate, the Frederick Douglasses, the George Washington Carvers, the Charles Drews, all of those greats, they were bootstrappers. But they were bootstrappers that had one fundamental difference from black people today. If black people today wanted to bootstrap, do you know the fundamental difference that you know, we don't share with them? And that is the fact that those black people had skills. They had skills. So you have to think about what segregation meant. Segregation meant sex construction.
think he frozen, Tay.
I
You want
think
to pick
so
up?
too. I think so too. But I do want to add a little piece here. It does kind of uh, well, it is unfortunate how some of our people will come into those clubhouse rooms and say, "Oh, well, you know what? We have to get those reparations for us to even get those boots, and strap them on." And it's just no, we don't need. Of course, we need reparations. Of course, that's something that it's a debt that's owed to us. However, I do think that we don't have to say, oh, well, we need that money to get the boots. It's really what we already have, and work with what we already have. So I just wanted to add that piece. King, are you back? Your
Yes,
phone
I'm
had
back.
froze up a little bit.
Welcome back.
It died. But
Oh, as you're speaking, if you could go into, more about the university and how the like after because you were leading there,
Yeah,
I
you
felt.
were you were talking about segregation, King.
right, well, said we were segregated everything. Segregated construction, segregated stores, segregated groceries, segregated. So how you fundamentally got your food on the plate, so to speak, in the black community was, from when it was on your plate to the hand it probably came out the ground was black. From the ground to your table. You know what that's called? That's called a vegetable. In the field, it's vegetation. When they pick it, it's a vegetable. You see, when it's in the ground growing, oh no, that's a plant. That's a crop. That's vegetation. That's literally why it's called vegetable. You see, and so when we don't understand the fact that our segregation forced us to do that one thing that we don't do, solve our own problems. That's what people are talking about when they're talking about bootstrapping. What they're essentially doing, and I think some of the brothers and sisters don't really understand what they're doing. They really don't. They just use it as a talking point. They listen to a lot of people say that that's a bad thing. Don't be a bootstrapper, etc. But really, in the end, when you talk about this whole bootstrapper thing, like what it is you're solving your own problems. Period. And so that's what segregation caused us to have to do. If a Negro twists an ankle, and you know that them white folks just told your black butt that you couldn't go eat at the restaurant, you think they finna take your little funky little sock off your foot? You've been out here sweaty playing basketball. They want to look at, they gonna grab your stinky foot. They wouldn't even give you a piece of pie. You remember life? You remember life? They wouldn't even give a piece of pie. What kind of pie they said? You're gonna get in pie. We're gonna give you Negro pie. See, they wouldn't even give him nigger pie. Y'all made me say the N word on live. They wouldn't even give him N word pie. You see. And so what makes you think that those black people thought that they were gonna fix their twisted ankle? They didn't. So they were ready to fix twisted ankles. Somebody house probably had the braces and the tape and all that, the crutches. What? Leroy done sprained the ankle. Call mama, call Mama Jones. Here I come. What that boy was doing. Sit on back. This gonna hurt. You see, we were solving our own problems. We don't now. We don't now. We walk right out to protest cussing, and these damn racist white people. Oh, I twisted my ankle. Take me on down to uh what's it called? What's the hospital called? Johns Hopkins Hospital. Where they've been experimenting on black people since they started that thing. Take me down to Johns Hopkins so they can fix my ankle. I think I broke it. You just was calling these people racist, but you trust them to fix your broken wheel. That there's a broken psychology there. You're pregnant. Oh, about to have the baby. Must be a black doctor finna deliver it because you know these people are racist. You just said that on your Facebook post all day, all week, all month, all year. You're
Why are you
preempt.
talking about me like that? This is not fair.
You see, and so we have to really begin to address what the psychology is of people who are advocating against a bootstrapper mentality. I need bootstrapper mentality.
People say, well, you ain't even got on no boots. I mean, it sounded good when Dr. King said it, so we keep saying it. But at the end of the day, black people can't claim to not have on no boots. You Negroes got on Gucci boots now.
Red bottoms.
The most expensive boots, old, call them Air boots. They say pull yourself. They need to just say this right here. Pull yourself up by your Jordans. I ain't saying bootstraps no more. Pull yourself up by your Jumpman logos. They got collector's editions. I mean, of the same shoe that came out, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They brought it back out again. Like, what happened to the people
They're shooting each other.
They don't make shoes anymore?
Shooting each other over these shoes.
Killing each other over these shoes. So, but we can't pull ourselves up by our boots. It's counterintuitive. With like one of the main songs in the culture one year was, the song about my what was the song Nelly had?
Welcome to Nellyville. Well,
My
newborns get a half a meal. Is that the one?
song about the Air Jordans.
Oh,
Then he had
okay.
Yeah, something. My Air Force One.
I
I'm a
thought
big
it was the
Nelly
Air
fan,
Force
y'all.
One. Yeah.
was Air. Guess what Air Force Ones got on them? Hmm?
It
What's
got a little strap.
they got a strap on them?
That's right.
So we're gonna pull ourselves up by Air Force One.
I mean, yeah. I mean, to King's point, we get so upset whenever somebody steps on those Air Force Ones. So,
Get shot.
we use them. Yeah. And so use them to our advantage.
All of that. So, that's what the bootstrapper mentality really just it symbolizes to me as a person who doesn't understand that, you can chew and you can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. So while you're building your own communities and doing the things that you need to be doing for yourself, by yourself, with yourself and your community members, and then you also, in the time that you're not planting a tree or teaching the children or fixing the broken things in your community, cars, homes, boats, etc., you're advocating for policy from your political leaders. And if they're not listening to you, you ain't listening to them. And I guarantee they'll need you before you need them. Because you ain't been getting nothing. So nothing and nothing is still nothing. We used to nothing. I love my nothing. Rather have my nothing than you bluffing with the stovetop stuffing. You see? And so
Said
that,
that about Biden. I'd rather have Biden and keep maintain my dictatorship that I ain't never had. My democracy that I've never had. Black people act like they really had some democracy, and that Trump was going to run off with something that's invisible democracy that we've never seen before in America.
well, what does democracy have to do with us? Because if it was so damn democratic, we wouldn't be having this conversation. A lot of conversations wouldn't be happening if America to black people was truly democratic. There's a book written by a woman, the Tiger Mom is what they call it. We were enjoying a nice little broadcast from one of the brothers in the black media, Jason Black, Professor Black Truth, one of the two. I think we all get them confused. And so I think it was Professor Black Truth, and it's one of his most recent little video blogs. But he was talking about, how today we have, such an epidemic on our hands, and he kind of pointed out some examples of, kind of this very thing. And so, when you look at the fact that we've got people who are supposed to be our leaders, who are supposed to be, advocating and pushing for change for us, due to the conditions that we suffer from, when you listen to what these people are saying, I mean, they're giving you word salads and word sandwiches, and you don't really understand how we're supposed to get progress with this vague, ambiguous language that people use to describe our problems in our community. You're on mute.
So this is what I want to know, and how do you propose? How do you guys propose that we change our situation? Like, how do we go from having no communities and just um, neighborhoods and putting our money not even our currency not revolving around our neighborhood, not even one time. What do you propose, Dr. King Silk, Sick, and Shante? What do you guys think that we should do? How does the school come into play with that?
Well, Joe Biden just passed a bill worth over $1 trillion. And, it's largely not going to hit our communities. It's going to hit our communities. It's not going to impact our communities beneficially unless, unless we make a change. You know what they say, in order to get something different,
Do
got
something different. Yeah, do something different.
right? So if we want to get something different, obviously it's not found in the march, it's not found in the ballot box, it's not found at the church house, it's not found at the dope house, it's not found at the jailhouse. Hell, it ain't even found at the schoolhouse. You see. So the real solution is that we've got to do something different, and the difference is we've got to start looking at, again, we got to go back to Dr. Amos Wilson and the political and the social and the economic analysis that he says you have to do to your communities in order to be able to prescribe a solution, just like the doctor, just like the pastor, just like the economist is going to provide a solution to those situations. And so that's what we have to do. We have to look at those things. And when you do, it comes right back to the skilled trades. We got a president who's ain't really spoke to black people's interests since he got all of the black vote and promised he had you back. But I think that this infrastructure bill is a way in which, if we posture ourselves correctly, we could make this bill be a very, very, very instrumental instrument of what they call moving the needle in our communities, because the school plans to prepares people to work. It gives them a plan for life. And when you look at the senseless violence in our community, those people have no plan for your life. Your plan from your life keeps you from doing some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff our people do. It keeps you from leaving the house at a certain time of night when you know it ain't nothing going on out there but some bull crap. You know
I'm
what I mean?
sorry to interrupt you, King, but Zaire, in order to come up on the stage, you have to activate your mic. You have to connect your mic in order for me to be able to bring you up. That's what. If I messed up your name, charge it to my head and not my heart.
But yeah, so just the school comes into play because you have to, there's a skills gap in America, and we've been flirting with this thing called illegal immigration for a long time, and it's really harmed black skilled labor in our communities. We deindustrialized the high schools in the 1970s. By the 1980s, those programs that were in the schools that taught young men and women actual career skill trades, they were gone. And so when you actually look at the amount of people who are in the skilled trade industry at this time, I mean, there's a skill gap, and particularly
Mhm.
look in our community, there it is it's the what's that thing on? It's the Grand Canyon. It's not a gap; it's a Grand Canyon. School seeks to be able to take our most precious resource, which is our young people, and give them the skills to actually, rebuild our next most precious resource, which is our community. You see, so to me, it's a no-brainer that you have to change something. The fact that we have people who graduate from these schools, get these fancy degrees, and they come back to the community and they pack up and then they move to the other side of town. And so we can't have our best and our brightest, quote unquote, who are successful, quote unquote, and they leave the community. What are we measuring success on? And what we're doing is we're measuring our success with, does it look like white folks' success? You're a doctor, we that's successful. You're a lawyer, that it takes more than that.
Oh,
It
yes.
takes for you to literally, now you could be a successful doctor, but you just can't, call that being some instrument that's going to give you credibility in the community to lead us anywhere. And so, you know, when these people go to school and get these education, these degrees, and they come back to the world, whose problems do they solve? Whose problems do the black doctor who goes to XY, he could go to Howard and get a doctorate degree and go back and go work for, some white hospital, Obviously it's not owned by us.
Well,
And so,
John Flower just said school trains children to be conformists. Um, and what do you think about that? Hey, Shante.
well, we don't.
Hey, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, I mean, school does, yeah, sure, because school is not teaching you to solve problems. School is teaching you math. School is teaching you history as they tell it, and school is teaching you science as they show it. And then it's sprinkling in some other subjects. But there's nothing about the curriculum that you get in school that you could literally apply to the problems that you have when you go home. But if you are in a skills trade academy and you go home and the cabinet, falls off, then you can literally use skills in order to fix the plumbing messes up, and the young man who's in the plumbing school, he could actually solve that plumbing issue. The electrical worker could actually solve that electrical issue. The roofing worker could actually solve that. And so the skills that we give our young people in these schools are not skills. We give them job proficiency certification. You are proficient to serve this job, but guess what? What happens when that job is no longer needed, obsolete, or relevant or valid? Technology takes us out of a lot of positions. The robotics and AI is taking a lot of positions and careers away. And just the industrialization of this post, this new tech era, I guess I should say, of the post.com era. So we're in a place to where jobs are being snatched up left and right, and it's really a finicky thing. If you look at any college journals, if you Google or you search for what major should I choose, look at the articles that are online that you'll find if you Google what major should I choose, and the requirements and the reasons are just so ridiculous. It's, well, how much money do you want to make, and do you want to have a white picket fence in this house? And that's great for the average white American because they don't have societal issues that are a barrier, or a barrier to the path of their young people. But in our communities, it's not the same thing. We got mass incarceration, we've got police brutality, over policing, just wealth disparities, historical wealth disparities, income disparities, home ownership disparities, bank mortgage lending disparities. We got all these business ownership disparities. 41% of Black businesses were lost during COVID, and less than 20% of white Americans' businesses were lost. Right. So we're not even on the same playing field in any of these metrics. So it's just there's just a certain level of understanding that we have got to come to, in the fact that these educations don't inherently solve our specific problems. And so yes, the students are taught to be conformists, but you know you could teach somebody a skilled trade education and give them a conformity, but they would be conforming to code, they would be conforming to policy, they would be conforming to physics. Don't conform if you want to, and put this steel beam above your head with your non-conformist self. You see, you're going to pay the penalty and the price for that. And so the conformity that's in a skills trade academy is very beneficial. It's in everybody's best interest that everybody conform to those safety protocols. They appear to work, right? Structures are absolutely safe that when you build them correctly. So I think that that's why the Skilled Trade Academy is a great education for Black students to acquire, is because they instantly have something that is viable and valuable in their very own community, and it's obviously up to them and the people who are the educators like myself, the administrators, to while these people are being educated, and also recruiting them and bringing them in, that they do have this purpose in mind of actually using these skills to be of benefit, to the community, to the neighborhood that we're trying to turn into a community.
Thank you so much. So tell me, guys, how when will the school actually be open? How do people get involved in helping to bring this to fruition? And then when will we start registering students? And where should we go to look at? And I think the next one that we do, I'm gonna share the screen so that people can see the school and the area from the Google view, Google Go. The next time we do this, but let's get to the gritty of it. How when, where, what, and why of it. What do people need to do to get involved? When are we gonna open the school, and how long will it be before we actually open the doors to this amazing institution of learning, and how it's going? just drive home how it benefits our community, because I still think that people aren't getting it, and the people who will watch this in the future, when we make them watch it in the clubhouse, I think that they might not get it. So, like, just go ahead. I'm gonna let you take it away.
Well, we're going to, well, first of all, we've got a lot of work to do to get it, back up to code, because obviously this is a school that's been closed for 7 months. We just acquired the school in less than 60 days ago. So, but the beauty of it is that the movement was going before the physical location was acquired. The foundation was set. The company was up and running, and it was really, for me, about the activism of getting people on board. And so once I met people like yourself and Shantae and Mo and so many other people that I could name, who were instrumental in making this happen, I didn't anticipate, kind of meeting people. I didn't expect people to be as, um, just really soldiers for this thing, to be honest with you. Like, people have lives of their own, and families and things to do, and people are donating their time, their money, and their effort and their energy to make this happen. And so anytime you have a vision and a dream, and then you have other people who are willing to assist in it because they believe in it, it gives you great inspiration and motivation. And so this happened really fast with the school, in acquiring this location. So we're going to go in and see, as long as there's nothing structurally wrong that needs to be repaired, and I don't anticipate that there is. And if that is, it would be roof issues, and it wouldn't be hard to fix those issues. But I don't want to say what date that we will start. We would hope that we would be ready to start by the fall. I don't think that we would have any real impediment to starting in the fall. But again, I always talk about the story my grandfather taught me when we went on a job as a young kid. And, I said, oh, this is going to be easy. And, it turns out it wasn't. And it was because of the simplest thing. Like, it was a water hose, a water spigot was in a place. And in order to build this deck, and these people had already pre-cut all these pieces, but nobody had drew the water spigot on the plans. So everything had to be disassembled in order to make one cut to allow a water spigot to rest inside of a 2x4 on a deck. And but that's just a story of how things work in building. And so again, we hope the fall, we're going to be working to clear out the premises, get everything up to occupancy code. We're recruiting our instructors. We had a great conversation with some people last night on Clubhouse. I'm not going to name drop, but definitely some people who are Googleable, as they say, who are world renowned in this industry. And those people were bubbling about what We Are the Builders is all about. And so I know that they thought it was a great idea. And if it makes it any worse or better, these were not African American builders or people in construction. They were women mostly. And so the kind of the place that we're at right now is really establishing exactly what issues that we're going to have to deal with the school, as far as structural, and then logistically, getting our students in. It's one thing for us to have this conversation with one another, but it's another for us to be able to provide the housing that we need to be able to provide for these young people. And we're in the process of making some moves to acquire property in order to be able to house a large number of students. But we want to be able to facilitate and make it easy for people to come. We can't have we talked about the wealth and economic numbers, so we can't very well expect, hey, y'all from the hood, come on up here, because I know y'all can afford it. And so we have to make every effort to be able to use these grants that I talked about in the Build Back Better and the American Rescue Plan. The city of Dayton, where the school is located at, has allocated about $76 million to African American businesses. It is also a hub opportunity zone. So there's a lot of things that, we really still haven't even unpeeled this onion, as far as sitting down and talking to the local leaders in the community, and seeing exactly how they're going to be able to assist, whether it's in the form of, kind of lowering any political red tape that we might have to walk through. And also, as far as the people who will be staffing this and trying to coordinate with them, their time and energy. We're using more of a retired, wise old instructor approach. We've been approached by some folks who themselves have volunteered their time, effort, and energy to instruct, as well as have given us some really warm leads on people that they know in the industry, who they know just based on things they've said or their personality would be dying. I mean, and I've had people just, like, I know they would drive up there themselves. They would pay for to come just to teach this. And, we're talking about people who've been in the industry 20, 30 years, and they do pretty well. And so, um, you know, people volunteering to actually educate in the school is also a very real possibility. It's been offered to us, not anything that I actually considered doing ever, asking anybody to do this for free. So, the long and short is we would plan by fall. We would like to plan by fall 2022, even as early as summer 2022, because I mean, it's not in that bad of a shape. And if we get out there, we could really work hard for the next 4 or 5 months. It's not impossible to have our educators there, to have the equipment that we need necessary. We might not start all the programs, but we surely could start programs like HVAC, our metal stud framing course, our electrical course. I mean, these are courses that we would be able to get off of the ground. But our heavy machinery operating courses would be able to get off the ground because we have a tremendous amount of, we have acres and acres of land to work with outside of our 35,000 plus square foot school that has an auditorium, a library, a cafeteria. I mean, this was a public school for many years. Since 1960, I believe they built it, and it was shut down in 2014, and it was a black chartered school at that time. So 7 years of no occupation, no occupancy, I guess I should say. And what's in there, what's to be discovered. So we still need to learn those things, but as long as there's no crazy pipe that's messed up or some serious electrical issue, which I don't think that there would be. Shantae has been in there, she's seen it. Our investor has seen it. And so not anything that anybody was able to detect at this point from an electrical or structural standpoint. So, but again, you asked me a really good question, because I know a lot of people obviously would want to know that, particularly people who will be contributing and giving, their time and their dollars to this effort. So I want people to understand very firmly that we can very well get this going by the summer. I would plan for the fall because that would be fair. That would give us the entire summer where people who are educators would not be teaching at that time during the summer, and we would be able to incorporate more of a, I don't want to say summer camp, somebody didn't like that, but more of a summer camp atmosphere for the summer, where a lot of the restrictions and requirements that we might need in order to be up to OSHA code and things like that in order to educate, those restrictions would be very much relaxed for us to have some camps and just kind of get our young people on the side of liking the trade skills industry, because it's been advertised that it's not sexy enough. So we would want to be able to get young people in and do that. So, I hope that answered your question to the best of
Yeah.
my.
Strong Flower One wants to know. She
Ask,
says,
and I'm gonna
"Did you?"
have a better answer for you in a week. I'm gonna have a much better answer for you.
Okay, he said gonna have a better answer for you in a week. Strong Flower, we're gonna do this again next week. We did this like on a last minute type. I had a thought, and y'all, you know how I am when I get a thought, I just sort of kind of run with it. But we're gonna do a more planned out effort so that so more people can hear about what's going on. Um, and become a part of. I also put the Cash App. If you could share the Cash App, if you were interested, and I see Miss Bernadine, because that's my friend Bernadine. She's in Houston. She's down in Texas. Say hi to Bernadine. Hey, y'all.
What's
It's
up, Bernie?
Bernadine has been here from beginning to end.
Bernadine.
And I love her. If you could share if you could share the Cash Out, what we need more than anything, we have to go into the school, get it out. We're gonna need people are gonna come down there, and on their own dime and come down. But what we really need is like money for dumpsters, money, for to feed the people when they're there, or to give a stipend or two to somebody. So we all know that nothing happens by osmosis. There's nothing that in this world that's given to us, and nothing's going to be given to us because we're embarking on what everyone else would call impossible. We're about to make what people would say the impossible possible. So we need lottie dottie everybody to contribute to this effort. We especially need our Black brothers and sisters to contribute to this effort, to believe with us, to see the vision, take this journey with us, and not only take it physically, but take it with us financially. And every 5, 10, $15 helps. So you see the Cash App. Go to our website. It is, and Shantae will tell you what the website, because as much as they tell me what our website is, I always, my old mind can't hold it in. So Shantae's going to tell you more
Yeah,
about the
for sure.
website, how to find it.
I can share the website with you all. It's www.wearethe.builders. You can go to the website. You can check out the courses that we will be offering at the We Are the Builders Skilled Trade Academy, and then you can also donate there as well, and also contact us for any questions that you have there. And then also, you can find us on GoFundMe as well by searching We Are the Builders Foundation. And then you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook by typing in We Are the Builders. So you'll be able to find us there. And then our Cash App is $ WAT Builders. So yes, I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Toya, for having us here. We really appreciate being on your show tonight, and sharing, what it is that we're doing, and bringing to our all of our inner cities, and this is a program that we'll be able to take nationwide.
Any last words? I gotta say, next to you guys, I look Shaka Zuzu black. I'm just saying. But
You
any
gotta
last
Right,
stop
words?
it.
light off so I could be dark skinned again.
Listen, I need some of that color to shed off on me.
I should have. I didn't have to have my light up so bright. I had it on the brightest setting.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
you gotta be
myself in the
careful with
middle the
that.
next time. Next time, I'm just gonna be in the middle. I just
Look at here, two pieces of bread with a sandwich on top. But I do appreciate it. Sharing your platform with us and sharing, the vision and what it is that we've got going on. Because it's all about the awareness and people being made aware of this opportunity. Because again, there's not anybody that I've talked to in the trades industry or in the construction industry that doesn't think this is not only a great idea. Like we have a you know a phenomenal location. I mean, with plenty of land to build on, with already 35,000 square feet of a brick building, not some clapboard wood, not none of that. This is a very sturdy piece of infrastructure that just needs some TLC and some time for us to be able to get in and make it look beautiful again, and be able to make it transition into a skilled trade academy. So I thank you for that opportunity, but I want people to, if they can, if you have the patience, to go look up the Build Back Better bill by Joe Biden. You can find it. Just look up Google, Build Back Better, search Build Back Better, and click on the link that's whitehouse.gov. And you'll know you found it when it's in print so small, you're going to have to squeeze it to look at. That's when you know you've actually found the bill. I'm not playing with you. Everything else they tell you, it be in big letters. And you're gonna see so many billions of dollars. 5 billion for this, 4 billion for this, 12 billion for this, 700 million for this. When you start seeing 20 million and 10 million, you'd be like, man, get that little chump change out of here. Bring back the bill. So there's a lot of allocations, there's a lot of awards, and there's a lot of funds that are in this bill. And here's the thing, if we don't get it in our hands, somebody else gets it in theirs. And it's an economic war, and we can't allow other people to get that many bullets in their gun, because they're about to drop a whole lot on the pavement. So please go search the Build Back Better bill. Go check the one out that's from whitehouse.gov. Become aware, take your time, and go from there.
I gotta say, daily we do a show. Well, mostly every day we do a show. King Siik hosts a show in Clubhouse, and where he teaches a lot of scholarship. That's where I learned about powernomics, and I learned, uh, um, I learned about the falsification of African consciousness and things. And this man is giving me so many books to read. Like he's like, read this book and read that book, and like so it's the education that I have acquired in this particular with these people since I've met them, and the way that they have impacted my life. Um, it's been strong. It's been phenomenal. So I implore you to sign up on Clubhouse. They let anybody up on Clubhouse now. You can have an Android. It used to just be for us iPhone people, but but you can sign up on Clubhouse and find and look up King Siik is Siik. You see my name out there, Shantae. She's golden with a little symbol on Clubhouse, and just come and join us and just listen to some of the things that we listen as we do our planning process every day of the week. I'm gonna bring Monique up right quick so that she can say something before we
Yeah,
end.
absolutely. I wanted to share with everyone too that whenever you do search for us on Clubhouse, go ahead and search for us on other platforms as well. You can type in King Sick in all of your social media platforms that you have on YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram. It's KingSiik. And also Fanbase. Fanbase is another great app as well that we do utilize from time to time. And then we are also utilizing Airtime. Airtime is another great app. Um, so sometimes we spend time off of Clubhouse on other social media platforms, and I think it is important for us to follow each other on other platforms other than Clubhouse because our accounts, could possibly change on Clubhouse. So definitely follow us on other social media platforms, and then we also have a Telegram chat as well. Which you can drop into our Telegram chat by following We Are the Builders on Facebook, and the link for our Telegram chat should be there. And then you can also search on Telegram, We Are the Builders, and that should also populate it for you as well. And then and another way that you can get to our Telegram chat is by following King Sick on Instagram and clicking that link in his bio. Scroll all the way down, and you'll see the Telegram icon, Telegram chat icon there, and that'll drop you right into our Telegram chat as well, where we're sharing tons of information with each other, valuable information. And so that way you can read things for yourself. I think, like you said, Minister, that reading is important, and diving into the books that King always recommends, and also, staying up to date with current events as well. Um, and I wanted to also mention that Dr. Amos Wilson, The Falsification of African Consciousness, is also located on King Sick's link in his bio. You'll be able to download the PDF copy. We also, just continue to follow us because we always do have something going on that we want to be able to give back to you all. So we do book readings. We actually just finished Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, and then we got a lot more books that we're going to be reading, and we definitely want you to be a part of the book reading groups that we host as well. And yeah, I think that was about it that I needed to make sure I shared with you all.
We got 6 minutes. Mo, you want to take that 6 minutes? You want to take us home?
Hey fam, I'm over here. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm on a couple of different uh, devices, and I'm trying to get the right one because for some reason my volume on this one is not good. So I apologize, and I might have a little bit of background noise, but it's hard for me to hear you all. So I was trying to actually switch to another device to see if I can't work that device better. But first of all, let me just show my appreciation for you all. Getting on and really going through what we call like the what you call it, the ugly hair stage. You know what I'm saying, for us to try to put out promotional material to reach people and talk to them about We Are the Builders and what we are doing. You know, and so there's going to be a little time where we're learning these systems and each other so that we can put out a good quality product, but still get the information out to people. And so this is one of those times where we're definitely we appreciate you, Ms. Toya, and you know, for putting this on our plate and saying, hey, let's go, let's move forward with it. And I appreciate you know, King and Tay for, you know, at last minute, you know what I'm saying, kind of being pulled in and you know, and making sure that we get this information out to people. So I know you said we had 6 minutes left. I apologize if I'm rambling on, but we're gonna, you know, I'm sure
You're
you
doing
guys have
good.
already put out information that we're gonna come back to this again, and you know, and what our purpose is gonna be in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, we talked about it, and let's make them. It's like a last minute. I threw this together, and I kind of brought them in on the spur of the moment idea. It sounded good. I said let's do it, and but my sister told me, she called me today, and my sister Monique called me. She said we're gonna do this a little bit better the next time, and who is about the only person a woman I will take correction from. I'm just gonna be honest. So we're gonna this is the first of many, and we want to grow this platform, this school, our followers, for We Are the Builder, on this particular platform, and we look forward to bringing in those people who are interested in building back Black. I want to thank all of my guests today. I thank all of you who stuck and stayed from beginning to end. And I just want to say I love my people. I'm so excited about the change that's about to happen. Change that's happening. So we often say about to happen, but change is happening, right? With our people. We just didn't know it yet. I love you guys. Good night. Mwah. You guys have a wonderful evening. And don't forget, I love you. And it ain't a darn thing you can do about it. Bye bye.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.